Next. Omagyantimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णभ्रष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा. So we were discussing this is Krishna's pastime out of Vrindavan, which Uddhava is explaining. This is nice meditation. So we discussed previously that why these pastimes are mentioned, and again we hear because our consciousness is absorbed in matter and consciousness is absorbed in the self, always thinking about ourselves, our family, and all, or it is absorbed in the matter, the things that are happening around. We have to remove it and put it at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's the reason we need to meditate on them. And that is going to save us from this wrong identification. Yesterday we discussed about false ego. And here we'll just read the translations. Thereafter, Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladev, and to please their parents, they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. Then he says, the Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher Sandipanmuni, who he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Attracted to the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, many great princesses and kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the others, hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carries away nectar. And then, by subduing the bulls whose nose were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagnichit competition to select her bridegroom. Although the Lord were victorious, his competitors asked the hands of the princess, and thus there was a fight. Well equipped with weapons, the Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he was not hurt himself. Now, we discussed yesterday how identification we have to start relating and identifying with Guru, Krishna, these things, which is very helpful. Like Uddhava is completely identifying himself with the Lord and the pastimes that are happening, and presently the identity. So, if you remember yesterday, we were discussing just small. I didn't record the yesterday's class. That's I'll tell one revision for you, so that we will remember at least something will be there in this recording. Very few points. I'll not repeat everything. So we were talking that there are three things that Krishna is telling. Agnyasya, Ashraddhanasya, Samshaya, Atma Vinashyati. So three things. One is ignorance, one is lack of faith, one is doubt. The people who are in ignorance, they happily enjoy because they don't want to know also what is truth. And that helps them to happily enjoy in this material world. If you know, we cannot enjoy. That's why people continue to remain in ignorance and they don't want to hear the knowledge. Because when we discussed also, by gaining knowledge is responsibility. I have to act according to it. If I don't know, I can always play this game that I don't know. What can I do? So that's the point. Now, this is how the people want to live in this world. I told in Hyderabad, people don't want to know that non-veg is bad. Even though 99% of the people they eat, they don't want to know it because it will hamper their enjoyment because now in ignorance they can enjoy nicely. And same, then we discuss lack of faith. So people in this case, they have this knowledge, but they lack faith. But the more dangerous situation is samshayatma, when there is a doubts. So doubt atma itself is doubting, samshayatma. And what happens? Doubts paralyzes a person because he does not know. He cannot go either. He's like whether front or back. And Krishna says that with sword of knowledge we should cut these doubts. Vidyate hridaya grandhis, chinnante sarva samshaya. So samshaya we have to cut with the sword of knowledge. And then we discussed that how does this come? Why does doubts come? If you remember, we discussed because we see through the prism of our conditioning, the things in this world. If Krishna, I have an idea that work is worship, and Krishna is telling it is bogus, then I start doubting Krishna only. How can he not accept work is worship? And Krishna, if I have a idea of that peace is actually the purpose of life, everything should be peaceful. Ahimsa paramo dharma. And Krishna is telling it is bogus. Then I start doubting Krishna only. That means what? I am looking, I have my perceptions of this world, and based on my perceptions, I am trying to look at Krishna, and I want Krishna also to reinforce, or I want him to accept what I am believing. That is where the problem comes. And this is why because there is very important. This is why this happens is because raga and dvesha. We discussed this because I am attached. I have raga and I have dvesha, and anything is based on that only. I like something, that means good. I don't like this is bad. Most of the thing goes in life like this. But emotional maturity means what? Emotional maturity means we are able to accommodate everything. Even though I don't like, but I am ready to accept because there can be so many possibilities. That is where Madhyamadikari comes. Madhyamadikari is emotionally very mature. He can accommodate everyone. He does not have problem because he knows everybody has different level, and he is able to see their positions and their faith, and then he said okay, they are at this level and they can do that much only, so he will not have problem. Even in family also, we can handle many all the family members properly if there is emotional maturity. That is comes with this. These all things are, of course I am talking about different topics, but I am telling that this is also one of the thing where people are able to accommodate. They can understand that there is many possibilities which I don't like, but they are there and I have to accept them. I don't go with raga and dvesha, I go with a buddhi platform, which is very important. And but if you go with raga and dvesha, what happens is then we start finding fault, then we get so many doubts. And and this is because why raga and dvesha. Uh, if we go with raga and dvesha, that means I like, I don't like, it is actually sin, what Krishna calls. And doubts are deep in the heart and the attachments that we have in our heart. And most people even look at Krishna's words through the prism of their own attachments. And this is causes doubt. Doubt is a product of our mind. Where is the root of this doubt? This is because of our attachment. We are attached to Raga and Dvesha. Clear? And then because I attach to what I like and something is good, something is bad, then comes the to get rid of it, we have to accept knowledge from outside. I must somehow or other we have to accept. And then we discussed about from where this attachment comes. This is because of our false ego, false identification. And even though people are ready to sacrifice their happiness, yeah, this is another point we discussed. Happiness is product of sacrifice. To the degree person is ready to sacrifice his personal interest, to that degree he is going to get real happiness. Now, if I am sacrificing my family, you are still sacrificing for false ego. But if I you give up for false ego, then I do for family, then I get real happiness. Otherwise, it's not happiness also. That also we discussed. I'm just revising because I didn't record yesterday's class. Let's say if somebody is there, they can go through this. We discussed how this concept is quite simple to understand. See, if I am having my false ego and I am thinking it is mine, then if I do the activity, it is nourishing the false ego and strengthening the false ego, and it is not going to give any happiness. Arjuna was also ready to give up his life. And he said, Nihatya Dhatarashtra, let me be unarmed and the kings, the sons of Dhatarashtra come and kill me. Arjuna was also ready to sacrifice. But it is Krishna telling it is bogus. You are doing for your false ego only. Because even if I do for false ego, it does not make any change in people's life, especially for. But if I know that I am servant of Krishna and then I sacrifice, then I am going to get benefited. This is the understanding. Krishna, there is only one way to clean our hearts of doubt, and we start acting according to what Krishna is telling. Yes, Shastra Vijamutsija Vartate Kamakarta Nasa Siddhimavapnoti Nasukam na Parangati. And but if a person is not doing like that, when a person begins to act, musically it won't happen. But if he acts according to the Shastra, then all doubts will go away and he will be able to gain this sword of knowledge and he will be properly situated. And there is one story actually, and this is because we look things according to the mirror of our mind through the prism of false ego. For preserving the false ego, sometimes spiritual path also we continue with our false ego. That is how the thing is. The soul looks into it and sees in the reflection of our mind. And yes, anyway, you all know things about false ego. Now there is one story which I have told also, but this is relevant for this again. I'll tell. Like there was one. Uh, there is a story. This is a Muslim story, but it is good story. It will help us to understand the point. There are three Muslims. They were captured by some other conquerors who are aborigines or whatever. And then they said, "We will kill you, but you have to change yourself into other religion. You cannot be a Muslim." And this happened in Arabian Peninsula. Then the person he said, "Okay, what can be done?" They said, "We'll give you one night time. Tomorrow morning you have to tell what is your decision." And then one of them, he was a big scientist. He was a scientist in Quran. He knows Quran. He knows all the laws of Sharia. He knows habits, and he knows all the things properly. And he began to think. And he sat down to consult and began to discuss about themselves. And then he said, "Yeah, if I refuse something under the distress in a very pressurized condition, it will not count upon me. I'll be forgiven. Therefore, I can refuse tomorrow and does not count, and I will be excused. Later on, if I go also, I just refuse with a light heart, and then they forced me. God will forgive me." And then another person starts thinking, and he remembers that, oh, I have a great ancestor, Ali. He is the son-in-law of Prophet, great Ali, and he will he will talk on behalf of me. He will intercede for me. I can refuse. I have my own man there. I can refuse now, and he will intercede for me in the future. When I go back, he will say, "Okay, this is my man only. He out of force he has done." And on the third person, he began to think, I don't know Sharia laws, and I don't have the contact also, somebody who can intercede for me. And then what can I do? And and he was not convinced about both of these people. He thought, I have no noble ancestors, nobody to intercede, and I will rely on Almighty only, and let him execute me. At least I will die with a pure heart, and at least I will die and stand before in front of Lord, and I will say, "For your sake, I made this sacrifice." And next day morning, these two were released, and third person was executed. It looks like a very sad ending, but the third person is very happy. Why? Because this person has faith. Because he has no doubts. The first person has knowledge. The second person has relations, famous relation. But the third person has understood that I was an eternal soul and that I did not need to do anything. Therefore, Krishna says, Uttishtottishta Bharata. Get up. No matter how difficult you are, get up, because this is the only way by which we can understand something in this world. Only if we will walk along it and stand. Because we are taking this right path. We have to be very confident and we should give up our doubts and go with this. So this was yesterday's some things. And we'll continue with our discussion on this purpose. This is nice things Prabhupada is going to share. And here he says, yeah, we have done till here. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the Parijata tree from heaven, just as an ordinary husband would do. But Indra, the king of heaven, induced by his wives, henpecked as he was, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. And he says, Narakasur, the son of Dharitri, the earth, tried to grab the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narakasur, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. It is said in Puranas that Narakasura was son of Dharitri, the earth, by the Lord himself, but he became demon due to the bad association of Bana, another demon. An atheist is called a demon. It is a fact that even a person born of a good parents can turn into a demon by bad association. Birth is not always the criterion of goodness. Unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. So now 2 points here. One is that all the living entities are children of Krishna. That is first thing. Second is when we are born, there are three things that are there in our life that differ, that will that will judge or that will decide our life. First is what we have done from last life. So that prarabdha will come. That is from last life. We cannot change much. Second is when we are grown, in the first 4 years with our mother, how she had trained us. That has a great impact in the life of a child. From the womb till 4 years or 4 5 years. From the womb it counts. From Garbhadan Samskara till 5 years. Because the buddhi has not developed for the child that time. He does not develop the discriminative ability. He is only having manas. He is an emotional state. So that is this time when mother has to give selfless love. And that will have an impact on the child. The child, and then the third aspect is what we associate after that. And here that is what happened. Even though this person, Narakasur, was born to Mother Earth and Lord, he became inimical to the Lord only because of his strong association. So what we all of us have, 20% of the life, even now also people can change right away with what they associate. Even astrology also they can predict only 20% of the future, not 80%, because association changes. If astrology is predicting something to me, now if I start associating it differently, it will change. But astrology can predict for non-devotees because their association he will do according to his taste. So they understand this taste by vasanas. That is different. But here this is very important. What is the training anybody can give is how to associate. The children need to be told this is what you have to associate. Now children they will choose their association. But what happens, the sanskaras which their parents give first 4 years, they have greater impact. Even if somebody goes in wrong association, he cannot do wrong things. Because if he has received so much love from his mother in the first 4 years, he is very safe. He cannot become very lusty. He cannot become very angry. He knows it won't work for him. And he will be protected even if he's from previous bad habits, previous life, he has very, very bad sanskaras also, he can be protected. But if he associates very badly, like here, of course, this is a Leela, this is an example to show Narakasur became such a demonic personality, even though he's son of Mother Earth and you know They say Mother Earth, she didn't take care of the children. And Supreme Lord Varahadev, he didn't take care of children. They want to show that, see, even they are born to me, are they not responsible parents? But still, the living entity has a choice. He can associate something badly and he can become like this. That's a proper birth is not always the criterion of goodness. Unless until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. If parents they don't work hard and giving time in associating and sitting with the children and reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata, then children with TV and mobile and they get that association. And I have seen many parents they are very lazy because it's so difficult to give time. Why is because parents they themselves want to enjoy. That's why not that they are lazy, they can do, but they want to enjoy. That's why they are not able to get time for children. Previously, it was a responsibility. If you remember, many of you parents they removed their cable connections because children had to study. We were not having. We just have only Doordarshan when I was small. We were not having cable connection. He says no. You have to study, no TV. And they didn't watch TV. They didn't go for movies. They didn't go for anything because they feel it's a responsibility to take care of children, and that itself gives them happiness. And they are seeing that we are doing our responsibility. And now what is happening? People they don't want responsibility. They want to only enjoy. That's why it has become very complicated. Like parents, they directly chill in front of the children only. You spoiled my life. What they spoiled? They spoiled their enjoyment. They want to enjoy, they want to look good, they want to enjoy, they want to go for parties. But when the children comes, then there is responsibility. Their school is there, their studies are there, then tuitions, this, that, which they feel no, no. They are spoiled. And this is becoming more and more now because that is what is advertised. That is what is shown as purpose of life is enjoyment. Previously, purpose of life is responsibility. Now the purpose of life is enjoyment. And then everything goes very bad. And it is becoming more and more worse. And because it is programmed that life is enjoyment, and if I go and get enjoyment, I feel so miserable. Everybody is enjoying in the world except me. I know it don't work for me. My children are obstacle. My husband is obstacle. My wife is obstacle, and everybody feels this. Everybody has an obstacle for their enjoyment. I can freely go for parties. In the college, I was enjoying so nicely. After marriage, I'm stuck up here, and because that is what is shown in the media. That is what is shown in the social media and entertainment. Everything is showing the same thing that life is free, you can be free, and you are meant for enjoyment. And this is the inner desire of people. And what these people they exploit the desires. They show, yeah, 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 this is the purpose, this is the purpose. And poor fellows, they don't understand that it is a great suffering to live like that. And they get trapped. That's actually is what is happening. Bad association. And very some people they come to their senses after 35, 40 years, and by the time it becomes too late also. Anyway, I don't want to spoil your mood in the morning by telling all these things. But this is connected to it, that's why I'm telling, because parents and children are there. There is the house of demon. All the princesses kidnapped by Marakasur at once became alert upon seeing the lord, the friend of the distress. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and offered to be his wives. So all the princesses kidnapped by Narkasur. So now this person is also able to kidnap 16,000. So how much powerful he must be? 16,000 he kidnapped to marry. He really had so much capacity. Of course, this is Lord's arrangement that everybody comes at one place and Lord marries everyone at a time. Otherwise, Lord has to go everywhere to get all these 16,000. So he arranged. Okay, you bring, I'll marry. Narkasur kidnapped many daughters of the great kings and kept them imprisoned in his palace. But when he was killed by the Lord entered the house of the demon. All the princesses were enlivened with joy and offered to become his wives because the Lord is the only friend of the distress. Unless the Lord accepts them, there would be no chance of their being married because the demon kidnapped them from their father's custody and therefore no one would agree to marry them. According to Vedic society, girls are transferred from the custody of the father to the custody of husband. Since these princesses have already been taken away from the custody of their fathers, it would have been difficult for them to have any husband other than Lord himself. Now, if it Lord Rama, the when Sita was with Ravana, he said, "You have to enter into fire if you want to come to me." And after that also, when a dhobi, washerman, he said, "Arey, what is Lord Ram? He just brings his wife who is staying in another's house also, but I am not like that." And he immediately sent Mother Sita to forest. And here we are seeing Krishna. He is not marrying one woman who stayed in another person's place. All 16,000 princesses he is marrying who are staying in another place. Lord Ram will never do it. He says, no, no, no way, because he has to set an example. But Krishna, why is he doing? Because he follows another law. For Lord Rama, it is dharma. For Krishna, it is love. So the principle on which Krishna bases his decisions is based on love. He says, somebody loves me beyond rules. Vasudev, he spoke to Kamsa that I will bring all the children back, but he lied. He's speaking lies. he did not keep his promise. He took away Krishna and kept in Gokulvan, where Dashrath Maharaj, even though he knows he's going to die, but he kept his word. He said, "Okay, I am going to die, but I kept one." But Vasudev did not do it. And here we see Krishna. He is also not following any rules. For him, only one rule. Krishna can speak lies. Krishna will tell others to speak lies. Krishna will cheat. Krishna will steal. And Krishna is marrying something not proper. Everything works because the rule is different. But to understand this and to follow this, one need to follow the dharma of Ram. When a person follows a right life in the standard of what Rama followed, then only it is possible to understand the love that Krishna is trying to make us understand. Otherwise, not possible. We need to be very strict and follow the rules to understand the love which Krishna want to give all of us. That is the point. आसम्मुहूर्त एकस्मिन् नानाग्रारेषु योषिताम् सविदं जगते पाणि अनुरूपः समायया. All those princesses were loaded in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions, exactly matching each and every princess. He accepted their hands in perfect ritual by his internal potency. And here it is said how Lord is expanding himself. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. He has so many forms. And this is called Swayam Prakasha. He says he is always fresh and youthful. By his internal potency, the Lord can expand himself in various personalities like Swayam Prakasha, again into Prabhava and Vaibhava forms, and all of them are non-different from another. The form into which the Lord expands to marry the princess in different apartments are all slightly different just to match, are all slightly different just to match each and every one of them. Oh, they are called Vaibhava Vilas, forms of the Lord, and were affectionate by his internal potency Yogamaya. Oh, this is a nice point. Like Lord, na, because if the wife is little slim, Lord also to match her, he is also looking like that. If she is little healthy, Lord also may be in that form healthy. So that's it. Expand to marry the princess in different apartments, slightly different, just to match each and every one of them. Any questions, comments? Till now, what we discussed about our Samshayatma Vinashyati and the previous about Dharma, Krishna. Okay, we'll go for the next one. So he says, just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord beget in each and every one of them 10 offsprings with exactly his own qualities. कालामागध साला सावादीन् अनिकैरुरुन्धत पुरम् जिग्रहन् स्वयं दिव्यं स्वपुंसां तेज आदिशत्. Kalayavana, the king of Magadha and Shalva, attacked the city of Mathura. But when the city was encircled by their soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally just to show the power of his own men. Prabhupada writes, after the death of Kamsa, when Mathura was encircled by the soldiers of Kalayavana, Jarasandha and Shalva, the Lord seemingly fled from the city, and thus he is known as Rancho, or one who fled from fighting. Actually, the fact was that the Lord wanted to kill them through the agency of his own men. Devotees like Muchkunda and Bhima. Kalevana, the king of Magadha, was killed by Muchkunda and Bhima respectively, who acted as agents of the Lord. But by such acts, the Lord wanted to exhibit the power of his devotees as if he were personally unable to fight, but his devotees could kill them. The relationship of the Lord with his devotees is very happy one. Actually, the Lord descended at the request of Brahma in order to kill all the undesirables of the world. But to divide the share of glory, he sometimes engages his devotees to take the credit. So sometimes Lord is giving credit to his devotees, so which he looks like he cannot do. He made Hanuman take the credit and for some activities in Ramayana. In Srimad Mahabharata, he is giving credit to Muchkunda, of course, Bhagavatam, and then Bhima, Arjuna, Bhishma Dev, like that. The battle of Kurukshetra was designed by the Lord himself, but just to give credit to his devotee Arjuna. Nimittamatram Ravasavyasachi. He played the part of a charitable. Arjuna was given the chance to play the fighter and thus became the hero of the battle of Kurukshetra. When he wanted to do himself by his transcendental plans, he executes through his confidential devotees. That is the way of Lord's mercy towards his pure and alloyed devotees. So Lord wants his devotees to be glorified. That's why he does like this. Sambaram dividambhanam muram balavanam balavalam evacha anyamscha dantabakradin avadit kamscha ghatayat. He says, O king, like of kings like Sambara, Divida, Bana, Mura, Palavala, and many other demons such as Dantavakras. Some he killed himself, some he caused to be killed by others, like Sri Balramji. Atate bhatraputrānam pakshayo patitan nripan chachala bhu Kurukshetram yasyam apatatam balai. He says, then, O Vidura, the Lord caused all the kings, both the enemies and those of the side of your fighters' nephews, to be killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. All those kings are so great and strong that the earth seemed to shake as they traversed the war field. Then, now he is remembering Kurukshetra, where Krishna made all the Kauravas get killed by the Pandavas. Sakarna Dusyasana Subhalana Kumantra Pakena Hat Shriyayusham Soyodanam Sanucharan Sayanam Bhoganon Nuganon Purvam Nananda Pashyan. It says that Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intercession of ill advice given by Karna, Dusyasana, and Subala, that is Shakun. When he lay to the ground with his followers, his thighs broken, although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. Prabhupada's writing nice purport. The fall of Duryodhana, the leading son of Dhritarashtra, was not pleasing to the Lord. Although he was on the side of Arjuna, it was he who advised Bhima how to break the thighs of Duryodhana while the fight was going on. The Lord is constrained to avoid punishment upon the wrongdoers, but he is not happy to avoid such punishment because the living entities are originally part and parcels. He is harder than the thunderbolt for the wrongdoers and softer than the rose for the faithful. The wrongdoer is misled by bad association and by ill advice, which is against the established principles of Lord's order, and thus he becomes subject of punishment. The surest path to happiness is to live by the principles laid down by the Lord, not disobey his established laws, which are initiated in the Vedas and Puranas for the forgetful living entities. This is very important to understand that Lord is not envious. Even Duryodhana is ready to change. Lord is ready to forgive, even though he did so many atrocities. Any living entity, no matter how much he does, he is ready to forgive. He is ready to change. And when Lord sees that we again and again fall down, like one time one devotee wrote a letter to Prabhupada. He told Prabhupada, I uh, he told I am having addiction of drugs before coming to Krishna consciousness. Now I continue practice Krishna consciousness for some time. Again I fall for drugs. Again I get up, again I practice, again I go back for. And Prabhupada, he actually one devotee read loudly. Prabhupada, you got a letter. Prabhupada is in Vrindavan. Other devotee said, Prabhupada said, see how much this person is struggling for Krishna. And Krishna will see that. Krishna's perspective of seeing any living entity he sees as a soul only. Like Prabhupada is, when he was going from first time he was going on the flight to San Francisco. That time Prabhupada, he told his servant, see, these buildings are looking like matchboxes. Can you imagine from Christmas perspective how it looks? And the devotee, after he reached, he told to devotees, Prabhupada is telling we should look at Krishna's perspective, from Krishna's. Now, this is what Krishna's perspective of any living entity is a soul, is struggling to come to me. Of course, in this case, Duryodhana not even struggling to come, he's continued to remain inimical. But Lord feels compassion for that living entities that, oh, he's supposed to be with me and he can be happy in that way, but somehow this fellow don't understand. He continues to maintain his inimical attitude even if when he is dying also in a very pitiable state. That's why Lord felt sorry. Even Duryodhana, he says to Krishna, oh, I lived such a wonderful life. I and he says, I did so many sacrifices. I did. My friends adore me. I took responsibility of them. I took my subjects are very happy with me, and that is true also. Many places Duryodhana also did good things for his subjects, and he says, "My enemies are afraid of me. I fought many wars, and I was never defeated in any and fair matches. I never lost any fair match. Of course, one time with Gandharas he lost, but Duryodhana was quite powerful in that way." And then when he spoke like that time the flowers from the heaven they fall on Duryodhana. But the point is we cannot cheat Krishna. Krishna knows that this fellow is demon only. Even though he is going to hell because he has done something, because he died as a Kshatriya. That's why he'll go to hell. But otherwise, he will go to heaven. But otherwise, it is not any change in heart. We may think, wow, such a if what Duryodhana spoke, even demigods are impressed, but Krishna is not impressed. And our purpose of life is to impress Krishna. We may say so many things, but impressing Krishna is the most important activity. Because what Duryodhana is talking at the level of false ego. He just created his ego and is living by it. And now people say, now you should believe in yourself. I already, what is there to believe in yourself? I already have my own conditioning. My conditionings are telling that I am good person. If we believe in ourselves, we'll say I am good person only. Then where is the question of improvement? We cannot improve in that way. We will improve when we understand, oh, I have some faults. I cannot just believe in myself. I have to believe in Shastra. And who is Guru? Who will help us to believe in Shastra? So this is tomorrow we'll discuss this. And this is actually what happens to many people in their life. They continue to they continue to live like that, and they don't want to change. Their life is valuable. Human life is best. Of course, Duryodhana is Kali personified, and Ashwatthama is and all the other people in the battlefield they are serving Duryodhana. He is one of the Amsha of Kali. So we'll continue this. After the end of battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the the attainment of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshonis has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still great strength of Edu dynasty, born of myself, which may be more unbearable burden. This burden is different. This burden is burden of love. We'll see. It's a nice purport. We'll try to understand proper rights. It is wrong theory that due to an increase in population, the world becomes overburdened. Therefore, there are wars and other annihilating processes. The earth is never overburdened. The heaviest mountains and oceans on the face of earth holds more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a census was taken of all living beings on surface of earth, certainly it would be found that the number of humans is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. If the birth rate of human beings is increasing, then the birth rate of other living beings is also increasing proportionately. The birth rate of lower animals, beasts, aquatics, birds, etc., is far greater than that of human beings. There is an adequate arrangement for food for all the living beings all over the world, but the order of the Supreme Lord, and he can arrange more and more if there is actually a disproportionate increase of living entities. So we need not bother about population. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. The earth becomes overburdened due to dharma glani or irregular discharge of Lord's desires. The Lord appeared on the earth to curb the increase in the miscreants and not the increase in population as is wrongly put forward by mundane economists. When Lord Krishna appeared, there had been a sufficient increase in miscreants who have violated the desire of the Lord. The material creation is meant for fulfilling the desire of Lord, and his desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter into the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their conditions for entering. The entire process of cosmic arrangement is intended just to give a chance for the conditioned souls to enter kingdom of God. There is an adequate arrangement for their maintenance by nature of the Lord. Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population surface of earth, if people are exactly in the line with God consciousness and are not miscreants, such a burden on earth is a source of pleasure for her. There are two kinds of burdens. Now here it is read. There is a burden of beast and the burden of love. The burden of beast is unbearable, but the burden of love is a source of pleasure. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti describes the burden of love very practically. He says that the burden of a husband on a young wife, the burden of a child on the lap of mother, and the burden of wealth on a businessman, although actually burdens from the viewpoint of heaviness, are source of pleasure. And in the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation, which is heavier to bear than the actual burden of love. When Lord Krishna referred to the burden of Edu dynasty on earth, he referred to something different than the burden of beast. The larger number of family members born of Lord Krishna continued to some millions and were certainly a great increase in population of earth. But because all of them were expansions of Lord Himself by His transcendental plenary expansions, they were a source of great pleasure for the earth. When the Lord referred to them in a connection with the burden on earth, He had in His mind their imminent disappearance from the earth. All the members of the family of Lord Krishna were incarnations of different demigods, and they were to disappear from the surface of earth along with the Lord. When he referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Edu dynasty, he was referring to the burden of separation. Srila Jiva Goswami confirms this reference. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? We'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki